So let's talk about what happened after the fight. Okay, well, let's talk about what happened after the fight. First of all, I want to say, look, Khabib was totally wrong in jumping out of the cage and starting a fight. And I'll tell you why he was totally wrong. Why? Number one reason, he could have started a fight in the crowds. He could have started a nightmarish scenes where thousands of people are brawling in the stands. And people would be sent to the hospital in truckloads. Okay, we don't want to see that. It would be such a bad thing for the sport. But more importantly, people would get hurt. Innocent people would get hurt. People who are not there to start a fight would get locked up with drunk spectators fighting, throwing punches at whoever. This is not something any of us should condone. Okay, it was totally 100% wrong. Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and preach you guys' ear off. Let's just all agree it was wrong. There's no way to justify putting at risk everybody's health in the arena, because that was a big catalyst for a brawl. Okay, a riot. Let's call it a riot. Now, there's a lot to this story. First thing of all, I believe that the McGregor team, there are some different characters. Okay, first off, I have the utmost respect for John Kavanagh. I've met John Kavanagh. I've interacted with him. We've had fighters compete with one another. He's the utmost friendly, gentlemanly, kind, respectful human being. Okay, he's a very talented coach. He's a very brilliant coach. He's a very smart trainer. He's trained many great fighters. He's incredibly experienced. He's fought himself. He's a very successful fighter in his own right. And he's extrememly respectful, friendly, kind, well-mannered. Owen Rowdy, I've never personally met him. I've never worked with him, but the man seems legit. He's a great coach, great fighter himself. Very nice, very gentlemanly. Not a bad word to say about these two men. They're as good as they get. In both in training people and conduct. Great human beings. Now there are other characters. I want to name names, but these characters are naming names of family members. They're bringing up religion, politics, things that they know nothing about. And naming the names of children. Like, I have children, Khabib's got children. We're all parents, so many of us are parents in the fight game. Nobody in the fight game has ever started bringing up the names of children other than McGregor and his one or two of his coaches, let's say. Not the two men I mentioned, not John or Owen, not these two men. These two men, their hands are clean, okay? I saw tweets myself of a child's name being this is not, you cannot cross this line. In my opinion, you don't bring up children's name. Now, if you guys remember when McGregor was scheduled to fight RDA, he was saying, hey, you're ashamed of being Brazilian. You named your son Donald. Why bring in the names? Why taunt this man's children? This is just totally wrong. Now, listen, if the shoe was on the other foot, if Khabib had taunted McGregor's child, I would have been totally against Khabib. I would have look, I'm telling you guys, Khabib did something wrong. He was wrong to go in the crowd and do all that. He's wrong. Okay? And if I ever sat down with him and talked about it, I would tell him, look, I really think you were wrong. I'll be honest with him. I'm telling you guys, if Khabib said anything about McGregor's kid, I'll be on here right now telling you he should never mention family. Don't mention religion. Don't mention his politics, his history. You know nothing about it. Don't go there. Okay? If there's something illegal going on, call the authorities. Let the journalists dig it up. They know, they're going to fact check. You're talking about stuff you haven't fact checked. You have no idea what you're talking about. He insulted RDA's children, and could you imagine that poor child going to school and kids taunting him? There are heroes, McGregor, and they're going to be telling him, you're not a real Brazilian, your name is Donald. Like, what kind of... And don't say it's in the name of selling tickets, please. This is a horrible excuse, okay? If we're going to start taunting children and making fun of children, insulting children, and insulting our family members, I want to wash my hands clean from this sport. Like, I'll just, walk away from it. I don't think it's a worthy sport. There's no sport worthy enough to stoop this low, okay? Now... talking about family, children, religion, politics, you really got to ice it, in my opinion, okay? And if you don't, this is the kind of stuff that's going to happen. If everything's fair in love and war and everything's fair game before, well, it's fair game after. Who's going to draw the line that after the fight it's over? Now, I personally would have loved to see Khabib finish the fight, get up, shake McGregor's hand, say something positive on the mic, say, we gotta end this type of bad mouthing. We got to end the insults. We got to kill all this, because this is a new culture in MMA. This is a very, very new culture. I remember when George was fighting Bisping last year, about almost a year ago. And we're at the press conference, and the crowd was just insulting the fighters, hissing at the fight. The crowd was so like, they were so rowdy. And George turned to me after and said, "Man, I don't remember it being like this. It's so different now. The crowd before, it was more positive. They were more energetic, positive. There's just a better, positive, more positive energy." I said, "George, this is a new era, man. There's a new culture in town. Around the Rousey era and then the McGregor era, everybody now is a badass. Everybody now has got a chip on his shoulder. Everybody's got a witty insult." And many fighters, I don't want to say all the fighters, a lot of fighters started to follow suit. They started thinking, hey, I want to be somebody who gets recognized. I want to be somebody who's known. I want to be somebody with sponsors. So they start kind of like, you saw more and more trash talk in MMA, a lot more and more trash talk. And I think what happens is it escalates. Everybody wants to be wittier. Everybody wants to be more and more provocative. And all of a sudden you're talking about things you have no business talking about. You're talking about things that are too personal, and that after the fight we're not going to be able to we're not going to be able to reconcile. So I like it as well. When the fight's over, it's over, guys. I'm with you on this. For those of you who are saying, look, the fight's over, it's over. I'm with you. However, if we don't draw a line, if there's not an etiquette in MMA, if there's not an etiquette where we keep it man to man. I might make some comments about your game. I might tell you, I think I'm going to beat you. I get it. I'm going to strut my stuff. I'm going to try to intimidate you. I'm going to try to get in your head. I get what Conor McGregor is doing. I get it. But there is a line we should not cross. There is a line. And where is that line? It's a judgment call. There's no logical, objective line that I'm going to be able to draw that everybody's going to agree upon. I have my line. You have your line. And I think we can all agree, at least the majority of us can agree, that talking about someone's father, talking about somebody's children, talking about political issues you have no business talking about. Talking about a man's family. I mean, it's just absurd. This is absurd. It's not a sport anymore. Now we've taken the gloves off. So I think, especially in diverse cultures, if those of you who don't know, there are other cultures in the world. Some people take their father and mother very seriously. Especially in Islamic culture, Christian culture, Jewish culture, the parents are like up here. They're on a pedestal, and Khabib's father, raised him. The man raised him. So I have the utmost respect for his father. I would never go there. That's just absurdity. You just never go there. And it was wrong what Khabib did. But if you bully a man, be ready to face him. If you bully a man, be ready to face him. I don't know if you guys saw, but there's a fight that happened after the event. Okay, so everybody was clearing out of the event. There was a fight in the arena outside near the popcorn area, the drink area. One Irishman was giving the finger to a bunch of Russians. They had kind of like encircled a bunch of Russians. He was giving them the finger. He was waving the finger, taunting them. And this Russian guy comes up and lays him out. Boom, punches him, knocks him out flat. Now, was the Russian right to hit him? No, he was totally wrong. The Russian guy should not have hit him. Don't hit the guy. That's assault, 100%. However, if that Irishman was my friend and I was there with him, I would have told him, after I would have revived him, I would have protected him, I would have took him back to the hotel room. I would have told him, how dumb are you to go and wave your finger around? You're provoking them. You're drunk. These people don't drink. They don't fight. They weren't bothering you. You went up to him and you taunted him. And then the guy kind of kicked his hand and it started a little scuffle and he hit him. Listen, it's very important to realize that, yes, it was illegal. These things are illegal. However, don't instigate them, because illegal things happen all the time. This is what's going to happen if we develop this culture, if we encourage this type of culture. It's just going to lead to violence. There's going to be more and more violence. And then you're going to kick and scream and say, hey, it's illegal what you did. It's wrong what you did. Yeah, it's wrong. For sure it's wrong, but it's still going to happen. And it's going to happen a lot. And it's going to escalate to gunfights, knife fights, hits. It's going to escalate. This is we have no business going this level. MMA should be a gentleman's sport. It should be a gentleman's sport. Like it was in Anderson Silva's era, like it was in George St. Pierre's era, like it was in Matt Hughes' era, like it was in the Royce Gracie era. A gentleman's sport. It's quite embarrassing, actually. It's quite embarrassing when, everywhere I go, people know I'm an MMA coach, and then something like that happens, and people start to think, hey, these guys are barbaric. I go to a restaurant, people look at me, and they're like, hey, this guy's He's one of those barbarians that fights in the cage and then in the street and in the stands, and he slaps people around, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to the sport. It really is. You know, the whole Dolly in the bus thing. I mean, there's just so much to talk about. There's so much chaos to talk about. McGregor, what happened after the fight with Khabib and McGregor? Happened in Bellator not long ago. McGregor went to a show. He jumped a fence. He pushed one of the referees. He slapped one of the Bellator staff. He slapped him in the face as he was up on the cage. Albeit the guy pushed him. He pushed McGregor, trying to get him to get off. And McGregor slapped him. There's a whole melee. And then in the Khabib fight versus McGregor, McGregor jumps up on the fence and punches one of the cornermen of Khabib. And Khabib's cornerman was not going to attack McGregor. He climbed up trying to look for Khabib. I think he was trying to get control of Khabib. I don't know what his intention was. But McGregor swiped at him. McGregor punched first. People don't know that. People were like thinking, hey, Khabib jumped his cornerman. Khabib jumped McGregor's cornerman. And Khabib's cornerman jumped McGregor. McGregor's the first one to throw the punch, guys. Look it up. Okay, look it up on YouTube. The evidence is light. It's light and day. McGregor throws the first punch, and then Khabib's cornerman attacked him. Okay, at least that's how I saw it. I looked at the footage. It seemed, unless I missed something, you know, put a comment in this video. Put a link in the description. I'll look at it. But from what I saw, McGregor threw the first punch. And then the cornerman jumped in on him. And I still think the cornermen were wrong. I think they should have grabbed McGregor, controlled him. I wouldn't have hit him, okay? If I got punched, I might have hit him. But if I was an extra cornerman and one cornerman got hit, I would just break up the fight. I would just kind of grab the fighters and separate them. I wouldn't have started throwing punches. But I'll be honest. Like, I think 99% of people, if they got punched by somebody, they would throw a punch back. It's just human nature. And but I wouldn't, as a third man, as a third person in the fight, I wouldn't have hit the fighter. Okay, I wouldn't have done that. The man just fought. It's not a fair fight. We're not going to jump a guy. It's one punch. It wasn't like the end of the world. You know, it wasn't like the biggest shot in the world. But it was still significant. It was still a significant punch to start a fight. If Khabib is fighting with Dillon Danis, that fight needs to be broken up. I'm not going to go and punch another man. That's escalating the situation. If Khabib is fighting with Dillon Danis, and I go around and I blindside another guy, I'm doing just as bad, if not worse. Okay, so when two men are in a fight, we separate them. We don't start sucker punching people left and right. Okay, that's just absurd. That's just, if everybody had that logic, then the whole arena, everybody's here with somebody. So McGregor sucker punches Khabib's cornerman. That gives permission now for me to sucker punch this guy, and that gives permission for that guy to sucker, and so on and so forth. There will be a whole domino effect. You'd have the whole arena fighting each other. That's just absurd. You're right in a way. We can't expect for people not to lose their temper. There's a certain line, and that line is subjective. I get it, guys. You know, when Conor was throwing those bottles and he hit fans and he was throwing those cans of power, what do you call it, energy drinks, and he hit innocent people, and he threw the dolly in the bus and he got glass in people's eye, people who were fighting. We can't excuse all that. And of course we can say, yes, but Khabib intimidated Artem. He kind of grabbed Artem, but okay, I got it. I got you. Then fight the man in the ring or meet him face to face. He got away from you on the bus, go to his hotel. The man he meet you face to face, do it like a man. Don't throw a dolly in the bus and blind other people. Everybody else is so unimportant. You want to throw a can at Nate Diaz's head? He threw a bottle at you first? Okay, meet him outside. Tweet at him. Say, hey, this is the time and place. Let's meet. Don't throw the bottles aimlessly in the crowd. You're hitting maybe young children. You're hitting maybe very, innocent people. There are all sorts of people in the crowd. And you're hitting them, and they're getting these cans off the head. You could seriously injure someone. It seems like nobody else is important. I can do what I want, when I want, how I want. Well, if you have that attitude, eventually you're going to cross paths with somebody who's not going to tolerate it anymore. And there's a level of tolerance I think we should all practice. But there's also a point, guys, where you become a coward.